I want to tell you right off the bat that this video is bigger than I am. I simply cannot encompass the whole world and all of its inefficiencies, but I do intend to cover up a small scrap of it that should get you thinking. The other day I was on the phone with an airline for 4 hours and then 5 hours the next day. In the end, neither was my issue resolved, nor was I given any actionable information. The staff was ignorant, rude, and frankly useless. Welcome to the new normal, I thought. We now have an excuse to function poorly, and oh boy, do we abuse it. Missed deadlines, broken promises, and nothing is accomplished. We keep reassuring ourselves that it's okay, that such deficient behavior is justified. And the scary part is, these lies we tell ourselves work. We haven't faced serious repercussions to wake up and see the reality as it is. Not yet. The economic crisis is here. We are losing our jobs. And with them, the stability we're so accustomed to. But since we can still get food in a grocery store and pay our bills, why bother rethinking our actions and policies, right? Wrong. The interactions with the airline and banks and healthcare and other services clearly demonstrated to me that we do not take responsibility for our actions. We blame politicians for restrictions and lockdowns while we collect paychecks and sign consent papers for an experimental yet not that effective medicine we received with little to no hesitation. We gave away too much power, and we never had much to begin with. When everything works relatively smoothly, facilities are open according to their schedule, shelves in the stores are full with the expected items, airlines are reachable when needed, it's easier to close our ears to inconsistencies in political speeches when the system betrays our trust by breaking promises, by saying one thing and doing another. We wake up to find ourselves at a loss. We've been lied to, severely deceived. And what do? We share our frustrations like a broken record to blow off some steam, and then we keep carrying on. Our overconfidence in the system played a bad joke on us. We were dormant and ignored the impending threat, I would say catastrophe, for far too long. We have already lost money, time, and energy, and we are losing more with each passing day. We have already stored up a debt crisis for the next generation, and we keep incurring more of it as we speak. The systems we relied on to have solid lives are shaking. As part of the system, we're responsible. We contribute to its instability and deterioration with our naivety, compliance, and fear. Don't blame solely politicians. They act according to the polls to win your vote. Power is more valuable than common sense, because power creates common sense, or rather what we are told to regard as such, not vice versa. The inefficiency doesn't mystically appear in your life. You don't just happen to be hanging on the phone for hours and hours on end. You don't just happen to be unable to see your loved ones as you would like to. You supported the restriction of freedom for the greater good. And now, when you see no greater good on the horizon, what's your excuse to keep swallowing lies? What's your answer to the inefficiency? Keep complaining while at the same time complying with policies? Or how about a nice, loud no? What about asking your circle of friends and relatives to stop blindly following, or at least consider that the introduced policies do not solve the problems and therefore must be questioned? Even worse, they actually add a great deal of economic and mental damage. I blame myself. I don't do much as an individual. No mighty connections, no courageous spirit. But it doesn't mean I blindly agree to nonsensical regulations and go with the flow. I refuse to show a segregation passport. I refuse to share private data with the government. I refuse to spread the anecdotal stories of friends, of family that only distort the bigger picture and fuel fear. Fear and compliance have led us into a pit that will take years to climb out of. The least we can do is take responsibility. I know it is a lot to ask. It is a lot to ask to think for ourselves. It is a lot to ask to learn to read statistics. Pro tip, a good start would be to look at the rates rather than discrete numbers. It is a lot to ask to say no and lose your job. But how about being an honest and conscientious person? It is too much to ask too, isn't it? When I was on the phone with the airline, I asked specific yes or no questions in an attempt to find out information that I could use to make plans for my immediate future. And it was pitiful to witness airline workers refusing to think or listen. I tried my best to make their work easier for them by offering alternative solutions and being concise, but to no avail. They would put me on hold or hang up on me. I kept asking myself why. Why is there so much negligence and apathy? And I believe I got my answer, and you can get it too. Answer this question. What is easier? To say, I don't know, which essentially means admitting to your limitedness, ignorance, and weakness, or say nothing, and this way ignoring an uncomfortable encounter? You know what's easier. You've made this choice too many times before. But easier doesn't mean better. Actually, the opposite is more often the case. The harder the thing is, the more worthwhile it is. Pretending that it's not your problem, fooling yourself that everything is taken care of by someone else and you can do nothing about it, is not a solution. It's cowardice and escapism. With such an attitude, it's no wonder we're going downhill so rapidly. Efficiency requires conscientious people, those who can take responsibility and think long term. So my question for you is, are you one of them? Thanks for watching.